Talk about Victoria. The seat of Higgins would go, currently held by Labor's Michelle Ananda-Rajah. That seat abolished. Kooyong takes in part of that. James, this brings Josh Frydenberg potentially into the mix because that was his seat. Monique Ryan, the Teal Independent, currently holds it. Liberals have already pre-selected Amelia Hamer, 30-year-old Oxford graduate, impressive young candidate. But the boundary change does mean you've got a lot of Liberal members who didn't get a say on that. Does the committee, the Liberal Party Administrative Committee, reopen the pre-selection?
Well, there's another factor, which is that the Liberals had also pre-selected Dr. Katie Allen.
In Higgins.
In Higgins.
Yeah.
Now, she will have a reasonable argument that the new Kooyong is in fact a substantially, at least half of Kooyong. At least half of Higgins, sorry.
Yeah.
Most of the Liberal members,
we're talking about parts like
most of the Liberal Party members probably live in Higgins.
Yeah.
So she has a case that she should be, if there's going to be a reopening, she would want to put her hand.
So you've got three potential.
Three potentials.
Candidates.
We've got three candidates. We've got Josh sitting on the sidelines, tying up his laces, doing his stretches, but he hasn't quite decided really what he wants to do. We've got Amelia Hamer, who's won the lotto here because the new seat, Kooyong, is much more winnable for the Liberal Party than the old Kooyong, which I should say, by the way, the Liberals are overall gutted about this because they thought the seat that they were most likely to win in Victoria was Higgins. If it had been lost to a Teal, it would have been a problem. But because it was lost to a Labor MP, they think their conventional weapons will work on her.
Yeah, still, they might get Kooyong back now with this redistribution. But
most people I talk to in the Liberal Party don't think that Amelia Hamer is going to beat Monique Ryan.
Would Josh Frydenberg, though?
A few problems for Josh Frydenberg. Would Peter Dutton want Josh Frydenberg back right at this moment with his ambitions to lead in the future?
He can't say that.
No, of course he can't say that.
But a bigger problem is elbowing aside a younger female candidate.
There's another problem in relation to Josh Frydenberg. He wasn't willing to put his hand up when the seat was a little bit harder to win, but he wants it reopened now that it's going to be a little bit easier to win. Is that an argument? And then there's the argument about women, and that makes it very complicated because they still have a problem with women and representation of women and the whole issue around women, and I think that's going to make it a very tough decision if they are going to look at reopening it.
If there's an argument to be made for Josh coming back now that's not just about, I like these boundaries a bit better than the old ones, it's that October 7th has happened and it's clearly re-engaged and energised him in the foreign policy space, which is where he really came from before he...
And I'm just suggesting that some of his critics might make that argument.
Monique Ryan absolutely would. But not to mention, they need a bit more firepower on their front bench, right? And there's a former treasurer, former deputy leader, who's got, the record as a treasurer.
Of course, but you've got to have an argument for why now, right? And the why now is, I think, the world is a much more dangerous place, he would argue, I suspect, that, for whatever reason, he's
needed.
He's needed, yeah. Now is the time for him. He thinks that he can turn around what he would regard, and a lot of people...
James, what do you think? It's not without some messiness.
It would be an appalling look for Josh Frydenberg to come in now. Now, Amelia Hamer... Yeah, really. She has a terrific CV. She herself is a future cabinet minister. Just because it's gotten a bit easier, the bloke wants to come back in. So the Liberals I've spoken to in the last 24 hours, very senior in the party, in the parliamentary wing of the party, are saying we really need to think carefully before doing it.
They're hardly disinterested, though,
but that's exactly what I've picked up as well. There are some women in particular who are worried about
they've made
how this
such a solid dance about getting more women into Parliament. They've set up, the sort of Margaret Guilfoyle network. Suddenly, when it looks like an easier seat to win, we'll get the bloke back in.
Anyway, it's going to be fascinating.
Think about what Monique Ryan would do with this too.